We all know the image of George Washington. He is the stoic commander, the unblemished superhero of the American founding. These stories are drilled into us from childhood. We hear of the boy who could not tell a lie after chopping down a cherry tree, and the general who dropped to his knees to pray in the freezing snow at Valley Forge. We imagine him commissioning the first flag from Betsy Ross and taking up residence in a brand new White House to lead the young nation. There is even the peculiar, slightly grotesque detail of his famously uncomfortable wooden teeth. These stories form the foundational American myth, an image of an incorruptible, folksy leader that has endured for over 2 centuries. But there is a problem with this grade school folklore. Almost none of it actually happened. The cherry tree and the prayer at Valley Forge were both invented by an itinerant bookseller named Mason Locke Weems. Weems published a biography just a year after Washington's death, realizing that a few tall tales would help sell copies to the public. Washington's dentures weren't carved from wood. They were a grim assembly of ivory, animal teeth, and human teeth, including those extracted from enslaved people. If the most famous stories about him are fiction, it leaves a vacuum. What exactly did George Washington do to earn his status as the father of his country? Washington's historical significance lies in his deliberate, unwritten construction of the most powerful political office in the world. In 1789, the newly ratified Constitution was dangerously vague. Article 2, which outlines the executive branch, was essentially a blank slate. This text shows the problem. The Constitution vested executive power in a single president, but did not list its components. It failed to create a cabinet or specify a staff. This ambiguity led to the Decision of 1789. Washington took the initiative, centralizing decision-making to ensure he alone was responsible. James Madison argued that the president must have the inherent power to fire subordinates. In this record, Madison asks, "If any power whatsoever is in its nature executive, it is the power of appointing, overseeing, and controlling those who execute the laws." Securing this unilateral firing power effectively turned cabinet members into dependent assistants, placing the president at the head of the executive branch. Rather than filling those roles with political allies, Washington appointed brilliant, bitterly opposed figures. He placed Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson in the same cabinet. He managed these rivals through an unending circulation of written reports, forcing every department head to justify their actions directly to him. When the Senate sought face-to-face meetings to negotiate executive appointments, Washington rebuffed them. As this account notes, he promptly nominated a different candidate, making it clear that members of the executive branch were his assistants, not the Senate's partners. This refusal set a lasting procedural boundary. It moved the Senate away from a co-selection role, establishing a precedent where the president chooses and the legislature merely approves. Those 19th century myths were created because biographers wanted a relatable saint. They projected an aura of Republican simplicity onto a man who was actually a master of administrative detail. Washington's real historical virtue was his willingness to exercise immense administrative authority to build a vigorous national government from the ground up. We see this in his backing of Hamilton's financial system. Washington used his executive weight to assume state debts and establish a national bank, leveraging his office to stabilize the economy when the law itself was silent. Yet he also set the ultimate constraint. Despite consolidating this vast authority, he maintained civilian control of the military and voluntarily walked away after 2 terms. Washington's enduring legacy is the invention of the modern American presidency, a role he crafted through administrative authority rather than folksy virtue.